She called me by another man's name, while looking me straight in the eyes. It wasn't a slip of the tongue. It wasn't a joke. It was the kind of moment that shatters something deep inside you, something you can't glue back together. We were sitting on the couch, watching some forgettable crime drama. It was a quiet evening, one of those rare times we both didn't have anything going on. She reached over, grabbed my hand, and smiled at me. It felt genuine, warm, intimate. And then she said, "You know, I love this, Jack. My name is Brian." I blinked. Thought I misheard. But no, she was still smiling, and she'd said it like it was the most natural thing in the world. I asked her, "Who's Jack?" She froze. Her face flushed, her smile faded like someone had just switched off the lights behind her eyes. I meant you," she stammered. I don't know why I said that. But I could tell she knew exactly why. The rest of the night was a blur of fake apologies and awkward silences. She went to bed early. I stayed up. Sat in the dark, staring at the blank TV screen, hearing the name repeat in my head, Jack. 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 Something inside me cracked that night. And I knew, deep down, that my wife had a secret. And I was about to find out just how far the lie went. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Pancakes on the stove. Music playing from her phone. She even danced a little while flipping one over, like she was starring in some wholesome breakfast commercial. I watched her closely. The way she avoided eye contact. The way she talked too much, about nothing. I knew that version of her. That version only showed up when she was hiding something. "Who's Jack?" I asked again, casually, while sipping my coffee. She stopped mid-movement. Her back was to me, but I saw her shoulders tighten. She didn't turn around when she said, "I told you." I don't know. Maybe it was from the show we were watching? We weren't watching anything with a character named Jack. I nodded slowly, pretending to believe her. But inside, I felt cold. Mechanical. My mind was already moving, calculating. When she left for work, I stayed home. Told her I wasn't feeling well. Truth was, I needed time. Time to go through her laptop. Her drawers. Her car. Her phone was locked, obviously. And she never left it unattended. But her iPad? That was another story. I found it charging in the bedroom. No password. Rookie mistake. Inside, I found her synced messages. And buried between texts about grocery lists and appointments, was him. Jack. Dozens of messages. Late night ones. Photos. Inside jokes. Sweet nothings. My stomach turned as I realized, this wasn't new. This wasn't random. This was a full-blown affair. Reading their messages was like watching a version of my wife I'd never met. She was flirty, playful, even poetic. She called him Jay, and signed off with hearts. She sent him selfies, not the ones she posted on social media, but private ones. Ones I had never seen. One message hit me harder than the rest. "Sometimes I think I was supposed to end up with you instead. Life just got in the way." They weren't just hooking up. She was in love with him. I sat there on the edge of the bed, my hands shaking, my chest hollow. The woman I'd built a life with, vacations, debt, dinners with her parents, had another world. And I wasn't even a footnote in it. She texted him every morning. "Good luck today, my love." She lied to me every night. "Just exhausted, babe. Long day." I felt like a ghost in my own marriage. But what sent me over the edge wasn't what she said, it was where she'd been saying it from. Jack had sent her a picture. He was in our kitchen. Our kitchen. The counter behind him? Same granite. The spice rack I built her for our anniversary? Visible in the corner. She had brought him into our home. The place I paid for. The place I felt safe. And suddenly, everything we'd built, every laugh, every shared struggle, felt like a carefully constructed lie. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember grabbing my keys. All I remember is driving, fast, angry, like my foot had a grudge against the gas pedal. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even know what I wanted. Closure? Revenge? Proof? I parked a few blocks away from where Jack lived, found the address through a payment request in one of their texts. Venmo, of all things. She'd sent him money for wine and snacks. Casual. Domestic. Like they were playing house behind my back. His building was one of those newly renovated lofts. Too trendy, too clean. I waited in my car, watching people come and go. And then I saw him. Jack. You ever look at someone and instantly hate them? Not because of who they are, But because of what they've taken from you? He was tall, well-dressed, confident. He looked like a man who hadn't destroyed someone's life. Like he belonged in this world where things were shiny and uncomplicated. I wanted to get out. I wanted to follow him, confront him, scream in his face. But I didn't. Because as much as I hated him, this wasn't just his betrayal. This was her betrayal. She let this happen. When I got back home, she was already there, wearing my hoodie, cooking dinner, humming. Like everything was fine. And for the first time, I realized, she had no idea I knew. That gave me the upper hand. And I wasn't about to waste it. I played it cool that night. Sat down to dinner. Ate the pasta she made. Complimented it, even. I asked about her day. She gave me the usual rehearsed lines, something about a client call and traffic on the way home. She didn't know I had read every message she sent on her lunch break. She didn't know I'd seen the one where she said, "Dinner with Brian tonight. Ugh. Wish it was you." I smiled through every bite, each one like chewing broken glass. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathe next to me. Peacefully. Comfortably. How could she sleep like that? With everything she was doing? By morning, I had made a decision. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to document everything. I started copying messages. Screenshots, cloud backups, timestamps. I recorded her calls. I even checked our shared credit card, hotel charges, flower deliveries, restaurant bills I never saw. I made a file, labeled it Truth. Because when this blew up, I didn't want emotion to cloud it. I wanted evidence. Over the next few days, I acted like the perfect husband. I cooked. I planned a movie night. I even left her a handwritten note telling her how lucky I was to have her. She texted Jack a picture of it. "Look what my sweet idiot wrote me. I almost feel bad." Almost. That word broke me more than the rest. At some point, you stop feeling angry and just go numb. That's what happened to me. The rage burned so hot it just evaporated. What was left wasn't peace. It was focus. I started building a timeline. Every text. Every call. Every lie she told. I laid it all out, hour by hour, day by day. I printed it. Highlighted it. Compared it with her calendar. I found patterns. I found truth. And it made me realize something I didn't want to admit. This hadn't just started. It had been going on for months. Maybe even longer. And I had no idea. None. That was the worst part. I started replaying moments in my mind, her coldness, the sudden work trips, her obsession with taking showers right after coming home. I thought it was stress, burnout, anything but betrayal. Turns out, I was just naive. I confided in my brother, just a little. I didn't tell him the whole thing, just that I felt something was wrong. He told me to let it go. "You're overthinking, man. Don't ruin your marriage over paranoia." Paranoia? No. This was premeditation. And I was done playing the fool. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. She had a networking dinner on Friday. I told her I was working late too. She kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong. And I watched her drive straight to a hotel. There's something truly soul-crushing about seeing it with your own eyes. I watched from across the street, parked behind a row of cars, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. She pulled into the hotel parking lot like she'd done it 100 times. Calm. Confident. Like she belonged there. And then, not 5 minutes later, he showed up. Tall. Athletic. Cocky. He strolled right up to her car, leaned in through the driver's window, and kissed her. My wife kissed him back. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. My vision blurred. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't process it. My mind kept screaming, "No. This can't be real. That's not her." But it was. They went inside together, laughing. She tossed her hair like a teenager on a first date. I just sat there, frozen, watching everything I thought I knew about my life fall apart in front of me. That night, I didn't go home. I drove for hours, aimlessly. I ended up at a gas station on the edge of town, staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror like I didn't recognize the man looking back at me. What was I supposed to do now? Confront her? Blow up everything? I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think straight. I only knew one thing. The person I married didn't exist anymore. The next morning, I walked into our house like a ghost. Everything looked the same pictures on the walls, the same scent of her vanilla candles, the same half-folded laundry on the couch, but it all felt wrong. Like I'd stepped onto the stage of a play I no longer belonged in. She was in the kitchen, humming, like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just ripped out my soul the night before. She turned and smiled when she saw me. "Hey, babe. You're home early." Her voice. That cheerful, familiar voice, it nearly broke me. I stared at her for a long second, trying to decide what to say. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. She tilted her head, waiting. I lied. Yeah. Just didn't feel great. Needed to clear my head. She walked up, wrapped her arms around me, kissed my cheek. I stood stiff as a board. "You okay?" "Yeah. Tired." I went straight to the shower, turned the water as hot as I could bear, and stood under it until my skin burned. I needed to scrub her off me. But it didn't work. Later, as we lay in bed, her back turned to me, peacefully asleep, I stared at the ceiling, feeling like I was living with a stranger. My mind ran wild with images, her with him, their laughter, her smile that I thought was mine. I wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. I needed a plan. I started watching her like a detective, but with a broken heart. Every phone buzz, every secret glance at her screen, every sudden text deleted the moment I walked into the room, it all became evidence. I memorized her schedule, her habits, the lies she told me without blinking. She still smiled at me some mornings, but those smiles were empty, hollow. They didn't reach her eyes anymore. One night, I found a receipt for a hotel downtown. It was dated just a few days ago, exactly the night she told me she was working late. I couldn't believe how effortlessly she lied. The audacity. I printed the messages and the receipts, the photos I'd secretly taken of her car parked suspiciously late in the night, and even the screenshots of her flirty conversations with Jack. I needed a record, something solid, undeniable. I confided in my closest friend, James, who told me bluntly, "Man, you deserve better. You don't have to live like this." His words gave me strength I hadn't realized I'd lost. But I wasn't ready to end things just yet. I wanted her to face me before she faced anyone else. I needed her to see the wreckage she left behind. So I planned a confrontation, but not in anger. In truth. I bought a notebook and started writing down everything, how I felt, what she'd done, what this betrayal meant. I wasn't sure if it was for her, for me, or just to make sense of the chaos swirling in my head. The night before, I waited for her to come home. When she did, she looked tired, anxious. I held the notebook in my hand. The moment had come. She walked in the door and paused when she saw me sitting at the kitchen table, notebook open, pen in hand. "Brian, what's this?" Her voice trembled slightly. "I think it's time we talk," I said, my voice steady but cold. She looked away, biting her lip. The tension in the room was suffocating. I started reading, everything I had written down. The late nights, the secret texts, the hotel stays, the lies. I laid it all out without shouting, without tears, just cold, hard facts. She didn't interrupt. Didn't defend herself. When I finished, she finally looked at me, eyes filled with regret and exhaustion. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. "Then why?" I asked. "Why bring him into our home? Why lie every day?" She broke down. Said she felt lost, lonely, that something was missing in our marriage. That she had no excuse, just weakness. I listened. I wanted to hate her, but all I felt was broken. We sat there in silence, both of us shattered in different ways. I told her I needed time. Time to heal. Time to figure out if we could ever be us again. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. That night, I finally let myself cry. The days after our confrontation were some of the hardest I've ever faced. I felt like I was walking through a fog of betrayal and heartbreak. Every room in the house held a memory, some good, some devastating, and it was impossible to tell which was which anymore. I spent hours alone, replaying everything in my mind. The laughter, the lies, the whispered names. Sometimes I wondered if I'd been blind or just in denial. I didn't know if I could forgive her, or even if I wanted to. But I also realized something important: I couldn't keep living like a victim. This was my life, and no matter how much pain it caused, I had to take control. I started small, going for long runs to clear my head, reconnecting with friends I hadn't seen in years, and journaling my feelings every night. It wasn't easy. Some days were darker than others. but I felt myself slowly coming back to life. One afternoon, I found an old photo album buried in the closet. Pictures of us before everything fell apart, smiling, hopeful, in love. It hit me hard. Maybe this wasn't the end, but a painful chapter in a longer story. I didn't know what the future held. Could we fix this? Could trust be rebuilt? Or was it too late? For now, I focused on healing myself, on finding peace inside the chaos. Time has a strange way of healing wounds you thought would never close. I won't pretend it was easy. Some nights I still woke up gasping, memories crashing in like tidal waves. But each morning, I woke up a little stronger, a little more determined. I began therapy, something I always pushed aside before. Talking to a professional helped me untangle the mess inside my head, face my fears, and start forgiving, not just her, but myself too. We started going to counseling together, and it was raw, painful, and honest. She was remorseful, but I could tell some things were broken beyond repair. Slowly, we rebuilt parts of what we lost, brick by fragile brick. But I also realized that no matter what happened, I was learning to love me again, something I'd forgotten amid all the chaos. I took up photography again, something I loved but abandoned when life got complicated. Capturing beauty in small moments reminded me there was still light in the world. Friends stepped in, offering support without judgment. I leaned on them more than I thought I could. And though I can't promise we'll have a fairy tale ending, I can say this: I'm no longer defined by betrayal. I'm defined by my strength to stand back up. One thing I've learned through all this is that betrayal changes you, but it doesn't have to destroy you. I used to think my marriage was my identity, my whole world. When that shattered, I felt lost, like I was drowning in an ocean of lies and regret. But in the wreckage, I found something unexpected: myself. I found a strength I never knew I had. Rebuilding trust was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's not just about forgiving her. It's about forgiving the future I thought we'd have, the family, the dreams, the life we planned. And that grief is real. It's painful. It's a wound that might never fully heal. Yet, I also found moments of peace. Moments when the past didn't feel like a prison but a lesson. I'm learning to trust again, not just others but myself, to listen to that inner voice warning me when something feels wrong. If there's one thing I want to say to anyone out there going through betrayal, it's this: you're not alone. Your pain is valid. Your anger is valid. Your sadness is valid. But so is your strength. You can survive this. You can find light in the darkness. And one day, you might even find love again, maybe with someone new, maybe with yourself first. Looking back, I realize betrayal isn't just about the person who cheats, it's about the pieces left behind. Pieces of trust, hope, and memories that once felt unbreakable. I had to pick up those pieces one by one. Sometimes, they cut me. Sometimes, they were jagged and sharp. But I kept going. I learned that healing isn't linear. Some days are better, some days feel like you're back at square one. And that's okay. What mattered was that I didn't give up on myself. I stopped blaming myself for her choices. I stopped hoping for apologies that never came. Instead, I focused on what I could control: my actions, my emotions, my future. I started setting boundaries. Saying no when something didn't feel right. Protecting my peace fiercely. And slowly, life started to look different. I began to imagine a future where I was whole again, where betrayal was a chapter, not the whole story. That future feels distant sometimes, but it's there. Waiting. If you're watching this, feeling broken or betrayed, remember this. You have the power to reclaim your life. To rebuild, to heal, and to find happiness again. This story isn't about a perfect ending. It's about survival. About waking up every day and choosing to face the pain instead of running from it. About learning that betrayal doesn't define your worth or your future. It's about finding the strength to rebuild, brick by brick, even when the foundation feels shattered. I'm sharing this because I know I'm not alone, and maybe you're not either. If you've ever been lied to, cheated on, or left wondering why someone you love turned away, I want you to know this. Your feelings are real. Your pain is valid. But so is your strength. Healing takes time. There's no magic fix. But with patience, self-love, and support, it's possible. If this story resonated with you, please like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more real, raw stories just like this one. You're not alone in this. We're in it together. Thank you for listening.